In the heart of the ocean, a woman's form plunges into the water, momentarily buoyant before panic jolts her awake. Abruptly, Brandon awakens, dispelling the nightmare. He serves as a bodyguard for Ava, the governor's daughter, grappling with internalized guilt over his inability to safeguard her mother. Arriving at the airport with Ava, Brandon encounters her friends Jed and Kyle. They're embarking on a journey together, and the boys express discontent at Brandon's presence. However, Ava explains her father's insistence on security. Once aboard the plane, Ava and her companions seek privacy towards the rear, noting the unusual scarcity of passengers. Shortly after takeoff, minor turbulence rattles the aircraft, initially deemed routine. Yet, the trembling worsens, accompanied by the ominous sight of an overheating engine. The pilot attributes the disturbance to bird strikes, reassuring the passengers. However, the situation escalates as an engine ignites, prompting urgent seat belt instructions. Panic ensues as an engine component shears off, striking the fuselage and claiming a passenger's life. Structural damage causes a rapid decompression, hurling debris and passengers throughout the cabin. Unbuckled passengers are flung from their seats, grasping futilely for stability. Within moments, a breach ruptures, ejecting numerous individuals to their demise. Despite Brandon's efforts to save a fellow passenger, the forceful winds prevail, propelling the man away. Another passenger clings to a seat, but the metal gives way, sending him tumbling. A flight attendant's attempt to aid a falling passenger ends tragically as they both plummet. With most passengers lost, the aircraft hurtles downward, crashing into the ocean, where water swiftly inundates the cabin. Brandon, impaled by shrapnel, witnesses the seats lurch forward upon impact, claiming more lives in a crushing cascade. The aircraft gradually descends for several minutes until it halts, wedged onto the seabed. Due to the plane's tilted position, an air pocket forms at the rear, sparing Ava, her companions, and flight attendant Danilo. However, Kyle suffers a fractured arm. Anxious, the group listens intently to unsettling sounds emanating from the water. Suddenly, Brandon emerges, ushering Rosa and her grandmother Marty to safety. With Marty unconscious, Danilo initiates chest compressions, eventually reviving her. Concerned about her grandfather, Rosa queries Brandon, who regretfully informs them of his demise. As panic sets in, Brandon assumes leadership, urging calmness amidst the relative safety of the air pocket, emphasizing the necessity of awaiting rescuers. Despite Ava's attempt to use her phone, the absence of signal beneath the sea becomes apparent. Observing a breach in the fuselage, she suggests swimming out, but Brandon cautions against the perilous odds and advocates patience. Danilo reassures them that the pilots likely signaled for help before the crash, anticipating imminent rescue. Brandon proposes acquiring backup oxygen, prompting Danilo to discover the empty emergency tanks. Recollecting a medical oxygen tank among the passengers, Marty requests Brandon to retrieve it, along with her husband's hat. Venturing into the submerged plane, Brandon examines the deceased passengers, securing the requested items. Unaware of a lurking presence outside, he locates the oxygen tank before investigating further. Suddenly, a shark ambushes Brandon through the breach, initiating a fierce struggle. Meanwhile, the group observes water disturbances, signifying an event unfolding. Abruptly, the ripples cease, and Brandon re-emerges, cautioning them to stay back, revealing his grief. Breath ragged, Brandon relinquishes the oxygen tank and hat before offering a remorseful apology to Ava. Dragged beneath the surface once more, the group witnesses the shark's tail protruding as it consumes him. Stricken with terror, they retreat to the employees' area, concurring to heed Brandon's advice and continue waiting. Marty volunteers to tend to Kyle's arm, drawing from her wartime nursing experience, acquired during her husband's era. Kyle's agonized cries punctuate the makeshift splinting process, utilizing thick magazines and bandages. Meanwhile, a helicopter scours the vicinity for the downed plane, prioritizing the governor's daughter's rescue. Despite their efforts, the survivors remain unseen. Inside the plane, ominous creaks precede brief movements, hinting at impending instability. Jed's pessimism grows, prompting Danilo to access the retrieved oxygen tank. The water's reddening and eerie noises signal the intrusion of sharks feasting on the submerged bodies. As the plane trembles, sharks glide past the window, unsettling the already frightened Rosa. Ava reassures her, despite the ongoing search yielding no results. However, with the helicopter's fuel dwindling, time becomes critical. Monitoring the rising water level and structural integrity, They estimate a few hours before danger escalates. Yet, increasing metal strain and ceiling leaks cast doubt on the plane's endurance. Suddenly, the aircraft lurches, descending further before snagging once more, fortunately without injuries. However, the accelerated flooding prompts a unanimous decision to swim out. To deter the sharks, Rosa recalls that bubbles repel them, offering a potential escape. The challenge of sustaining their breath looms large, yet Kyle's sudden recollection offers a glimmer of hope. Some passengers had scuba gear. Danilo elaborates, indicating the equipment in the baggage hold accessible via a hatch, albeit likely with depleted oxygen tanks. Despite Jed's pessimism, Ava sees potential in the remaining scuba gear. To offer reassurance to Rosa, Ava feigns a restroom visit, privately grappling with her own fears amidst the plane's ominous groans. Upon emerging, Ava imparts the wisdom that fear is natural, comforting Rosa. Meanwhile, outside, the helicopter's dwindling fuel reserves hasten the search. Finally, spotting debris, 2 divers plunge into the water, sparking hope among the survivors. As the divers approach, the group signals frantically. Tragically, a lurking shark claims one diver's life, sending shockwaves through the group. With no sign of the second diver, they assume the worst. With the helicopter forced to depart, the survivors cling to the hope of imminent rescue. Ava suggests salvaging the deceased diver's oxygen tank, but uncertainty looms underwater. Jed's reckless curiosity leads to a perilous slip into the water, sparking panic until his emergence, unscathed and jesting. However, his delay attracts the shark's attention, launching a frantic struggle. Acting swiftly, the group rallies to pull Jed to safety, narrowly averting tragedy. Regrettably, Jed's grievous injury is revealed as the group notices his missing leg. Marty swiftly tends to him behind a curtain, fashioning a makeshift tourniquet from seatbelts to stem the bleeding, eliciting tears from Jed, realizing his triathlon days are over. Determined to secure their escape, Ava volunteers to retrieve the scuba gear. Despite the flooded baggage hold, Ava plunges in, wielding a flare to illuminate the submerged area, unaware of lurking dangers. Startled by an octopus as the flare extinguishes, Ava's prolonged absence worries the group until she resurfaces with the equipment. The limited supply of diving suits and masks poses a challenge. A mysterious impact on the plane's exterior proves fatal for Jed, prompting a futile resuscitation attempt by Ava, halted by Marty's sobering intervention. With the plane shifting once more, urgency mounts as water levels rise. Remembering Rosa's strategy with bubbles, they prepare to distract the sharks. Kyle's childhood trauma surfaces, complicating their plans, yet with support from Ava and Rosa, he agrees to try. Ava gathers oxygen masks while the sharks continue their relentless assault, and the ceiling shows signs of imminent collapse. Marty selflessly opts to forego a suit to expedite the escape, bidding a poignant farewell to Jed. As the survivors brace for departure, the cockpit's collapse accelerates the plane's descent. Marty urges Ava and Rosa to lead the way, symbolizing a final act of sacrifice and resilience. The girls venture down the corridor, only to confront a shark blocking their path. Swiftly, they deploy an oxygen canister to ward it off, clearing the way forward. Joined by Kyle and Danilo, they press on, leaving Marty behind as the rising water seals her fate, resigned to await her husband's embrace. In a panic, Kyle retreats, seeking refuge in the dwindling air pocket. Danilo's attempt to rescue him ends tragically as a shark emerges from the baggage hold, swiftly claiming Kyle's life. Terrified, Danilo regroups with Rosa and Ava, retrieving the deceased diver's tank to replenish their air supply. Ava instructs Rosa and Danilo to proceed through the hole with the tank while she faces another shark blocking her exit. Stealthily, Ava evades detection as the shark enters, albeit damaging her mask with a tail swipe. Discovering more sharks approaching, Ava navigates towards the front as the plane accelerates its descent, struggling against the water pressure. Miraculously, she breaks free through the front hole just before the plane plunges into the abyss. Ascending to the surface, Ava succumbs to unconsciousness due to depleted oxygen, buoyed by flotation devices until rescued by passing helicopters. Danilo and Rosa are already safe, but Ava delivers the heartbreaking news of Marty's fate to Rosa. In a final tribute, Rosa bids farewell to her grandparents by tossing her cherished plushie into the water before finding solace in sleep within Ava's comforting embrace.